TT now moved to the blue side, so we are swapping sides after what that was. And TT going to try and close this one out. We'll see. At the very least, just note that the bans have changed. eStar going towards the Elise, thinking that it's Xiaopeng who wants to hit the early game aggressive jungler.
Yeah, we did talk about Xiaopeng and his solo queue exploits. He's been #1 as an LPL player in the Korean Challenger queue, and one of his most played is actually this Elise. He has been going for the PTA Elise, been spamming it a lot, so I like what eStars are doing here. They're saying, hey, Xiaopeng has had a great early game, maybe we should take away everything from him.
He's got a big champion pool. We know he's one of the most distinct champion pools, the Sejuani, the Rek'Sai. I think it was either you or Lyric that told me before the game that he is still the highest out of the LPL and Korean Challenger right now. So Xiaopeng individually is a good player, and TT, they're going to first pick Renekton on blue side now. There are a lot of memes about this from 2020. Let's just remember, in the LPL, people aren't afraid to play Nas, so this could bite them in the back.
We have to mention that Twyla did play Renekton earlier, and it was with the Renekton plus Sejuani combo that we were talking about. Ruthless Predator, 3 stacks, you get the stun with the you get the stun from the W, and then the Permafrost again. It's almost 3 seconds of a crowd control chain, so I don't think eStars are gonna challenge that and go for Gnar this preemptively.
I like that, Clement. Really good point. As the Udyr and Kai'Sa get locked in, we're changing face a little bit here, but I really like that you pull that up, considering that the flex in LPL is a little bit more common, so that LCK, I guess LCS, LEC logic doesn't really apply. You got the Xayah in as well, and there's no cards shown for TT. The flex remains the Sejuani for game number 3 for Xiaopeng, and Sam D on top of the Xayah.
I don't really like the early Gnar here. I feel like it's quite easy to punish. Sejuani does have very strong ganking potential. Even if the Renekton goes top lane, like, the Gnar could still be shut down in the early game. They're still going to go for it. Again, I'm not a huge fan of this one. But I do want to see what eStars go for their mid lane. Well, we have seen a lot of teams go for the Orianna Udyr. I've made my stance. I'm not a fan of it. I prefer more skirmish-oriented compositions with the Udyr. Things like the Aatrox that have a little bit more hard crowd control. They can fly around a little bit more. In general, I just don't like compositions that are slow and rely on Udyr to buffer them through the early game.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, even looking at the GP, but I guess you have the same problem there, so we'll see. Again, if it bites eStar in the back, then we'll say thank you, Clement Chu, thank you for your understanding, and maybe you should be the coach. eStar also going to start banning away solo laners. We've got the same from TT, but note that the Irelia, against the potential of a Twyla or a Chalitza flex, for TT, getting rid of Zoe, which has been a power pick for many mid laners, is definitely warranted.
Yeah, this is a bit of an interesting one. What I think TT are doing is they're trying to force Irma onto a control mage, and Renekton Sejuani does very, very well against control mages. You can flash stun, and the crowd control combo is so long that no control mage will be able to survive that one. So they're trying to make sure that they don't have safe picks in the mid lane. Taking away Zoe probably forces something like Orianna or Syndra out from Irma. Irma actually has a pretty limited champion pool. He's been playing Victor, Orianna, Syndra the entire time, basically. So I like this idea of limiting the options and making our mid-jungler easier to play through.
Put him into a pocket and then take away a good champion for Xiaoxi, but I will say for the first time ever, or at least in 75% of games, Xiaoxi has Thresh available, so we'll see if he goes for that or something else that can buffer up the CC and add into the combo of Gnar to give Kai'Sa a bit of breathing room.
I don't think they are going to go for the Thresh because Thresh is just a pretty weak combo with Kai'Sa overall. Okay. It's not offensive enough, but like we were talking about, they were hovering Azir for a long time. I would actually have preferred the Azir just because the Azir does have an escape tool. So even if the Renekton and Sejuani do come in, you have a bit more chances to actually get out of the play. But they are going to still go for the Orianna plus Udyr combo. Not something that we've seen worked a lot, but very, very popular in the LPL. We have to be honest, a lot of teams do like this, and just using Udyr with the ball and the 700 move speed that he gets to go for the backline. Responded
with the Azir here for Twyla, so pretty standard stock slow mid lane here for both these players. Twyla, they keep looking at the Aurelion Soul. We haven't seen that for a while. Last person was Teacher Ma, so don't get your hopes up in future games. At the very least, we need to see what the support is here, and with Rakan banned away, and Team locks in the Leona to pair up with Sam D.
I do like the Leona a little bit more than the Alistar. A bit more engaged potential is what I favor out of TT. And to look at their composition, they don't have a particularly strong mid-jungle, but, you know, they do have priority. The Azir should be able to push the lane against the Orianna. And what I see from TT is a pretty slow composition with strong pick potential, really good front to back. On the meantime, eStars, I think they're going to be lacking in the teamfight department. They don't really have a traditional frontline. I don't consider Udyr a real frontline. He's more of a skirmisher than anything. And Gnar is also a very situational frontline. Yeah. So what TT are going to do is they're going to sit back. They're going to scale into the late game. And when they see anyone, they'll just run at you. That's pretty much it. They're going to have an unconquerable frontline.
I guess with the CC combo lined up as well. Remember, with the Ferromancy Crashdown, there's good pick potential there as well. So the option of burst for eStar, but at the very least, you talked about the front to back from TT, eStar's ability to scale and get through some of these skirmishes. Going into game 2, we're going to take a breath of fresh air. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to guide you through this meditation, and I want you to repeat after me. We're going to breathe in and out. Okay, we're going to do that a couple of times. You can do that in your own time, but before we get into this, I want everyone to be calm. Because game 1 was what a Bushman would say was bloody bonkers. And in Australia, we don't have many Bushmen who would say that, but if I put on the boots, if I put on the, what's his name? What's the actor's name? Russell Coit. Great show, by the way. You know, I'd put the boots on, put the shorts on, put my button-up shirt, and I'd try and be as much like Steve Irwin as possible, and I'd say, let's get into this one, guys, because bloody hell. Game 1 was worse than a croc with his mouth open, with my head between it. I've lost brain cells. We're going into game 2. Let's cancel there. Clement Chu, take it away. You take it away for a bit before I send us down the hole.
If game 2 ends up like game 1, I'm going to need a wig by game 3. It's so painful to watch as a previous coach that was pulling my hair out throughout the entire game. But we've talked about TT's win condition. They can sit back, and they have a very strong front-to-back team fight. But on eStar's end, I do like their skirmish potential. They have a bot lane that can roam quite heavily. Ferromancy, you know, if you mount up, you do get that extra movement speed. And we're actually seeing a little bit of action on the top side as Xiaopeng takes a big chunk of HP.
Yes, he does. Doesn't have to flash away in the end, but gets burnt down. Irma stops the back, and Xiaopeng might have to use a pot and stick around. Rather not, still backing away. We'll watch his speed getting to his first camp, but I note that we have a bit of a change while trades are still going on. It is Halo Blades on Twyla and Lethal Tempo on Sam D. Other side across the map, nothing else has really changed. So looking for the small burst trades here for Twyla to try and match out the lane of Irma.
Yeah, very aggressive lanes, very aggressive rune choice coming out from Twyla. Usually, when you think about Lethal Tempo, it does a lot more team fight damage. But like you mentioned, the Halo Blade's a little bit stronger in lane, so they're just trying to make sure that this lane keeps on, is continuously pushed in, and they can reduce the amount of skirmish potential that this Udyr and Orianna combo can give to eStars.
Super easy to track when you get that early warding down. Hacker has done so himself though, and I think eStar win the warding game for the first portion of the map. Spotting out the red buff start here from Xiaopeng, spotting out that the blue buff is there, and when they get the timing for Xiaopeng to pick it up, note that the top side is going to be pretty volatile then. Clement, we do get the Renekton versus Gnar matchup up here, and ZS, you know, going to feel pretty confident here as we've seen across the world. Gnar feels quite nice with a bit of range advantage and the ability to hop away from the Renekton.
Usually what the Renektons try to do is try to get the lane pushing in a little bit. He can play for priority, but, you know, depending on situation, since he has a losing jungle, probably not. Gnar doesn't actually pressure you that hard, but when it gets to the late game, we have seen a number of different builds that do come out of the Gnar that can allow that to happen. But for now, eStar's Xiaoxi is going to try his luck into the mid lane.
He's walking pretty fast, Clement, waiting for the Ferromancy crash down onto Twyla, burns it and gets the knock-up. Hacker flashes in with the bear stance. Twyla doesn't even get to move or burn his own flash, and first blood over to Rel.
Really well done from eStars. This is what I was talking about. They do have an advantage coming in from their bottom side skirmish. A lot of the times we have seen the Kai'Sa plus Rel combination pack so much kill threat that the enemy team has to give up the wave and kind of respect that. So Xiaoxi using that pushes the wave in. He finds a good opportunity to go mid, and get that kill onto Twilight.
Feels really nice when you're a rel that can roam early on. You've just got CC built into your kit, and you're getting that first kill. Probably not as ideal as a lot of people would like to talk about, but at the very least, getting the momentum going. Clement, you already talked about how eStar once again want to kind of pace this game out, and their ability to fight is very situational. Now, Snowball is in the picture as well, right? We see a Snowball on the side of eStar. Very easy for them to force objectives and force these fights.
I think eStar's main advantage is probably going to be through lane priority in the bottom side. If they can get Rel moving around the map, it's going to be very detrimental for TT. But in the meantime, TT do expect a bit of a rough early game. This composition is a very late scaling one. It really does function quite similar to eStar's own composition during game 1, where once they get into that teamfight situation, you get Sam D on, give him a Mikhails, give him a GA, a Bloodthirster. He really becomes unkillable after that. So they're really playing for much later into the game. Probably the 35-minute mark is what I'm looking at.
Do the same dance with this Xayah once again. Already building about a 10 CS lead in this bottom lane here for Sam D. Throughout other lanes. Chalitza playing the lane very well. You already talked about the pushing advantage and how Renekton can actually utilize the matchup. Chalitza, his ability to keep ZS from backing, the ward in the back of the brush, these quick slice and dice Q trades, means that ZS is pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's really well done on the side of Chalitza. He's actually using his Rage Bar quite well, but we have to go to bot lane.
Yeah, it's Attract and Repel. Good little combo here, but TT kiting back at the bottom lane. The flash from Rat onto Sammy D, but the damage is way too much. Shalsey mounts up once again, autos for the kill. It's a trade, but Chalitza teleports in, and he smells blood. The Blood God says yes, please, as Chalitza gets his first kill.
A huge win for TT coming into that one. I do want to see how the start of the fight happened. Usually we have been seeing the Kai'Sa and Rel combination come out ahead in most of these trades, but it looked like Teen was able to intercept Rat and put a lot of damage onto him. He goes down before even Xayah does, and that is a winning trade on the side of TT.
Really is. And look, the wave doesn't crash in for Chalitza as well. He burns the teleport, but he's going to lose a couple of minions. ZS able to get the push in, going into Meganar, but Chalitza just walks back to this lane and he'll just receive the bounty.
Yeah, very comfortable position from Chalitza. He was having his lane state in a very good place, so he's able to get the kill in the bot side and go top
Shockwave.
Perfectly.
Okay, I guess the Shockwave just to put some pressure down. Teen doesn't burn anything, just walks away. Shalsey was nearby as well.
Does look like this is just a burn for the Drake play. You do see Hacker already in position with this one, and they're going to be able to take that with the earlier reset by death. So,
okay. There's Twyla waiting to... Oh, I'm not sure if he has the mana. I think he ran out of mana using the Shifting Sands. He has 100 now, but... just wanted to see the flash from Irma as a potential. So, mid kind of fizzles out a bit. Chalitza continue to trade up in the top side, and ZS still missing the Boomerang Blade. Chalitza feeling so good right now up here.
Up in these trades, it's pretty important for the Renekton to understand when you can get your 50 Rage for the Ruthless Predator. You can get 10 Rage from slicing into a champion and 2.5 for each unit with the Slice. And that's usually how you win out the trades. You kind of surprise the Gnar by going in and then getting a full Ruthless Predator.
Next flash onto Sam D. The Ferromancer crash down in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, we get the Attract and Repel. Nice engage. The Blade Caller as well doesn't hit the mark. And a third kill going over to Shalsey, who on this rel has been setting up everything.
Yeah, that's the trade that we wanted to see and what we've been seeing from other LPL teams as well. And it just does so much damage coming in from the rel. You get 2 plasma stacks from the crash down knockup, and then the Retrel and Attracted Repel, excuse me.
Close enough. Yeah.
The stun going down also gives you a stack there, and it's just such a long crowd control duration. If you're not willing to burn your ultimate, or in this case you don't have your ultimate as a Xayah, it can easily kill you. We saw this in the JD Gaming versus Top Esports matchup as well.
Clement, people got to remember that when you attached with Attract and Repel, if you get that Shattering Strike, the Q, you have a lot of sustain in the lane, especially with the Relic Shield on top. So Rat, his ability to die in this lane isn't really there unless you get the burst, the perfect engage. Feels really hard from this point on as well, as Rat and Shalsey, you know, now favorable position, even with the kills going down to Shalsey. I also want to reiterate, Clement, on the play we saw before, I had to make sure I was right, but the Emperor's Divide is 100 mana. So that's why Twyla couldn't get the engage before, and that kind of slowed down the tempo that they otherwise would have found off of finding the pick and pulling momentum in the favor of TT, because they are down a bit in gold here in this early game. eStar up about 800.
That's a pretty amazing find on your end. Good for finding that one out. A very awkward blade on the side for Twyla. But I will also say for him that at that moment, Sejuani didn't actually have his ultimate. So maybe they thought better of that play and didn't pull the trigger here. Once again, we are going to see TT with the earlier reset by death. Going to go ahead and take the compensation Herald. But they will have to actually trade a lot onto this tower for it to be worth it, because they will be giving over 2 tower plates over to Rat for this Herald trade, which pretty much means unless you get the kill or an extra turret plating or the entire thing exactly, you don't come out ahead.
I will say, though, I like TT's timing here, waiting for Mega Knight to time out just a little bit. The dive is going to be coming through, waiting for the Zenith Blade. ZS is still here. Against the wall, they'll get knocked, but no one has absorbed aggro until a Sam D. Ooh. The flash already burnt out, and ZS has delayed time. He'll survive from the fight while eStar continue to push the bottom lane, and now the timer's on.
Yeah, that was really well done by ZS. He actually used the extra movement speed back from Mininar to get out of that situation. Gets the ultimate plus W combo down onto the members as well. But throughout all of this trade, TT are able to find the entire tower. On the meantime, it looks like eStars, well, they actually get the same thing. So all in all, I do favor eStars as the better part of this trade, because, you know, they forced the enemy team to swap up. They had to waste time on the Herald, while throughout this entire thing, Rat was able to farm away.
Yeah, Rat gets solo turret gold as well, even though first turret blood goes down, and this will put TT back up to gold standings. We'll just see how much further Rat can push it. Let's also remember that you get the positioning, you get the warding down on the bottom side for the second dragon, and eStar already picked up the first one. So you put yourself in that favorable position to get up the early soul, and with a comp you talked about that can kind of delay this game, Clement, and, you know, maybe play around these skirmishes, that early soul is going to be super beneficial.
Having that soul pressure always means that the scaling team has to walk into you before they're really ready, before they hit their third item mark, before the Azir and Xayah are where they want to be on their builds. So, you know, this is a huge difference from, I would say, game 1, where eStars also wanted to play around the Drake stacking, but TT was able to just trade away souls because they got the first 2. Now, eStars are in that position where, hey, you know, they control most of the bottom side. They do have that teleport advantage right now with the Gnar, and they can kind of force TT to go into them. TT can choose not to respond to this one, but it does put a very big timer on their heads. It means at 20 minutes, whether they like it or not, they are going to have to pick up the challenge from eStars.
At least you're paying the respect to the fact that you've got a lot of CS discrepancies across the map that you have to deal with, and you're not quite there yet on your first items. You know, mythics are the big, powerful items, and I'm not just saying that because of the patch. I'm saying that because a lot of teams wait to fight until these mythics and have those engages because of how big that one item power spike now is for 90% of the players in League of Legends. And so the Dragon will go down in the end without TT contesting it. And just note that Xiaopeng is now towards the top side of the map after first turret blood was given over. TT giving Chalitza a bit of space, and Xiaopeng continuing to bully ZS.
This is pretty much a play where Xiaopeng is just saying, hey, I don't really have much to do on the map. My bottom side has been taken over, so I'm going to try something top. But I don't really think it's going to work out for them that well. They might get some turret damage, but in the meantime, I feel like if eStars sniff this out, they should be able to just pressure bot and be happy with the trade.
Well, for now, Wards is getting put down. Look at the bottom side of the map. Oh, let's not, because ZS might just be dead here. Chalitza auto attacks him for the final kill. He's under turret and he's just dead. Chalitza, no way he's getting out of this. So Rat does trade it away. Both top laners go down. There's no further objective to follow up, and it was a good kill given over to Rat.
I don't like this from eStars whatsoever, because eStars actually invested a lot in vision onto the bot side, and they're going to let TT walk away with multiple turret plates right here. Unless they can catch up onto this, it definitely wasn't worth it.
Bear. Teen is going to get slapped out. Attractor repel onto Sam D. He gets Ferromancy knocked up, but he's stuck in place. The Solar Flare layers down onto Hacker. That may have saved the AD carry's life as Twyla now shows up to the party. Good Zenith Blade onto Hacker, who the Ignite wears off on. But eStar have brought the cavalry, and TT out of place. Teen is going to sacrifice his life, send eStar back to their own turret. And that was just a bit too back and forth for my liking.
Yeah, eStars are willing to sink a lot of members into these fights, but honestly what they should have done was just traded the bot lane tower away straight away, because that would have denied Sam D and Teen CS, and with that extra tower, like, you just get so much map control. You don't have to lose this bottom side control over the enemy jungle like you did with that play into the top side. So, you know, all in all, eStars, they still get everything they wanted, but I felt like the sequencing and the trading could have been a little bit better.
Yeah, a little bit better, but I will say, you know, the fact that Sam D doesn't go down in the end is really impressive, Clement, from what I could see, at the very least. I don't know if I was blind. We'll have a look again, because Hacker started this, and it felt like the engage was clean.
Oh, yeah. Sam D does a great ultimate right there. He dodges out on the Magnetic Storm plus Crash Down combination. So gets over the main crowd control, almost dies, but remembers to have his potion running. A lot of times players will not run their potions when they are in a back. But he remembers, and boys and girls, that's why you always run your potions in those situations.
True. That was a nice snipe from Rat, and the fact that he survived was just incredible. Teen's ultimate needs to be blessed there as well, because the Solar Flare is the reason that Sam D ultimately survives in the end as well. So keeps his 80 carry alive, and what we're seeing right now is eStar with a bit of a gold lead in the tune of 1,300 at 15 minutes in the game. Remember, they've got those 2 dragons as well. The Soul Point is definitely a big win condition that eStar can play around. But we've got a minute 50 until the next dragon spawns, and I think we should be keeping our eyes on how eStar play the next minute leading up to it. What pick they can find, Clement, because, you know, this is something we talked about, how eStar's composition can move around chokes, how they can find these pick potential, and how they can utilize the bear to kind of set it up.
So I think what they're looking at right now is probably to cut off Azir. Azir has the least mobility walking into this river, and they have a great kill combination with Rel this far ahead, and with her boots down as well. So, you know, I think that's the way that they want to try and play this. But kind of weirdly enough, they are actually chased out of river completely. Irma giving up position on the top side, and Twyla does find his way into the topside river. So
I guess TP advantage, right? Because Chalitza's level 11, ZS level 10, and ZS used his TP in the previous engage. Chalitza still has his, so it feels like TT paying respect to the summoners. And even with Irma's TP down, that advantage just going to be given over by eStar.
Very good point. It could be that the Mininar has no way to actually stop the Renekton from coming in.
True.
So they do back off of that one, and honestly, this is pretty good for TT. Like, they get the fork potential during the Drake fight. This is the crucial one that a lot of teams feel like they have to take, because eStars is looking at 3 and 4 on the Drake list already. With this extra Herald, they will be able to guarantee themselves position to river. That's usually what it means during these team fights, is that someone has to go back and defend the mid. You're going to be able to basically force one of their members to be out of the fight and get position onto the river. This fight is going to be absolutely critical for both teams here.
What is actually happening mid? We're seeing ARAM happen again. I was just watching the midi-map, and it feels like people were a little bit too close to each other, not given that social distance. But TT getting the mid push out first here, Clement, and it feels like they're going to be into river, waiting for eStar to overstep. Xiaopeng
Twyla,
in a dangerous position. Oh, no. He's just face-checked Twyla. 0-2 on the Azir. Now Xiaopeng has the Arctic Assault as well. Hacker on the run. The bear goes slap onto the big pig. And now Chalitza for the forward to back position. 4 versus 5 as Irma's coming in as well. The Glacial Prison used for disengage. And eStar with that pick, thanks to Twyla, might have been given over to the Dragon, but they're still looking for more. The flash forward. Zetas wants to ulti before he goes on to cooldown, sends them backwards. And that's all you need with the shockwave. Chalitza dead too. Rat goes forward in the end, slides and dives into Xiaopeng and Teen. TT lose it all, and it's going to be Soul Point after that bad boy.
Yeah, really unfortunate mistakes coming out from TT. I felt like they should have dropped the Herald a little bit earlier if they were going to move into the river like that. Instead, they don't hold any vision over mid lane. Twyla walks back for some reason, dies for nothing, and eStars just has a really clean follow-up.
Well, Soul Point coming at you with Mountain Dragon at 18 minutes into the game. That's the reality that TT are facing, and eStars with a 3k gold lead. We'll have a look again, because Twyla just They knew they were there.
It was outside of vision. I think it was just outside of vision. eStars actually got in by moving across the wall here, and I'll be honest, this fight was kind of funny from my perspective because I felt like ZS actually could have got a lot more done here. He has the double hop back into his own base when the team is already up, one member is in full chase mode. But, you know, he makes up for it. He flashes, gets to slow down, and then Xiaoxi gets the crash down plus shockwave combo onto 3 members right here. So very well done on that combination. They're able to kill everyone important and get the most important Drake soul point.
I'm just concerned because even though, you know, that ward was really cool in that interaction, thank you to our observers, it was also just like you knew they were mid anyway, so why are you checking the brush?
That was a bit weird.
Yeah, so a lot of concerns, Clement. You know, it's the first item Azir who has been behind in CS against Irma this whole game long. But the driving force of TT right now, even though they lost that last fight, even though they're against Soul Point, we can see that Chalitza is still very strong, that Sam D has had a decent enough laning phase. We're just waiting to see what happens with TT's composition now that they're in this bad choke position, now that eStars are gaining dominance across the map.
I'll be honest, I'm so worried for eStars right now. It feels like things are going a little bit too smoothly.
eStars, oh, you're waiting for the throw. Maybe it's onto ZS. He's going to go into Meganar, Twyla, Emperor's Divide backwards.
Ooh. Only
hits him against the wall. Chalitza running back in. This is a Gore Drinker Renekton, so he's not dying. Picks up the kill, and Twyla actually teleported for that, but Baron's not up yet, Dragon's not up, so it's not going to be punished.
Yeah, it's a really good play from TT. They have their timers aligned perfectly. You know, the most eStars is going to be able to get is his tower, and it still will be trade for the bottom side. So well done on their end, but Hacker's going in.
Yeah, Arctic Assault used again. Xiaopeng has that gap close to run away from the Deer, who's again 50 CS up over Xiaopeng, and has had this massive advantage for the whole game. Twyla getting the turret you mentioned, the top one already traded off by Rat, and TT getting something on the board, that's great. But ZS has teleport, and he is going to be coming back up and available. As my stream freezes a little bit, it looks like TT are going to a fight, but Clement, much like the rest of this series, I'm going to assume this one's going into the bin.
All right, I'm going to guess that... Oh, no.
I don't know, it's like the magician pulls back the curtain, and suddenly Xiaopeng's low. They flash in, Xiaoxi gets the mount up, and Sam D goes down without using the Feather Storm or the flash. TT, what are you doing? There's a lot of ways to get out of that.
Yeah, that was very inexplainable from my end. We didn't get to see the start of the fight. Both of our streams actually lagged out right there, so we only saw the teleports coming in. But the end result is eStars find 2 kills on the bottom side with flash and ult.
Yep. Yes, they do, Clement. And Twyla going forward has to be careful of Hacker. I mean, at this point, Baron has spawned, but they didn't want to take the risk. They're getting those 2 kills again, 1, 4, and 1 on Sam D, and getting caught out with ultimate and flash available is unacceptable. So I want to see what happens in the replay that hopefully we get to see.
Let's be honest, after game 1, you knew this series was too perfect not to go to a game 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely going to game 3. You know what's coming. Sam D doesn't flash, doesn't ult. Does he know what mount up does?
What? That was, I'm sorry. Look, who am I? A gold level player to criticize that, but that was disgusting. Use your ult, use one of the flash, pay respect. You know what Rel does. What? What? Oh, it's quicker to die to go back to the pony. Yeah, okay.
I honestly don't feel like he's seen the pony. He was probably thinking it was Hecarim or something. Like,
yeah, it's true. It's just like
really weird interaction.
Wait, there's a Rel in this game? Oh man. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna move on because that's a shame, especially after seeing him on V5 in the past, and you know being like, this guy's a growing AD carry, but to see that is just a mistake you can't make in competitive play. Down 3,000 gold, but the Mountain Soul's coming up at 30 seconds, and this is what we're talking about. eStar have a very good condition on the board. One that TT have to respect, and they have to fight for this. Twyla going in, forces the flash, flashes himself. Twyla now running away at half health, and you know, for Irma's flash, I don't think that's worth with Emperor's Divide.
Probably not, but you know, that was funny to look at. That's why I gotta have that one, but I think Hacker might be going in. Chalitza's already trying to force apart these 2 compositions, but the ult's wasted here.
Yeah,
I think eStar's gonna go back in.
Goal goes in anyway. I'm just so triggered. TT gonna clear out the wave and into the Dragon Pit. We now go. Xiaoxi a little bit low. He's coming in from a flanking position though on full vision. Shockwave. Okay, Hacker's going to go in as well to get the stun up onto Xiaopeng. ZS starting the dragon. He's about to go Mega Now. The Emperor's Divide used defensively onto Xiaoxi, but look, ZS is just hitting the back one. Twyla goes in once again, goes golden, but the wall ult from ZS was beautiful. And of course, TT were going to lose that fight. They missed everything.
Yeah, that was a bit of a terrible situation coming out from TT. They do try to find the target on the left side, but it's really hard to chase red side teams up onto that ramp. They're going to have vision advantage. They're going to be able to dodge in and out. And in the meantime, ZS just decimates their backline. There was nothing they could do to stop that Mega Nard 3-man push.
They're going to get Mountain Soul and Baron. All right, I'm pouring a glass of water here. I'm going to have a big sip. And we're going to realize that this series is going to game 3. Look, this is what nice guys do. Wait for
there
your
was
team
never any doubt. They were waiting for Irma to come back out, give him the Baron buff. Let's go through that again. At the start of this fight, Sejuani doesn't have her ultimate already, and Chaliza actually pops his Dominus very, very early on, so they're missing a lot of critical ults. We do see Xiaoxi go in. They take a bunch of damage out of Xiaopeng, and Twyla is left to fend for himself against so many different members. ZS goes in, gets the double man stun onto the wall, and that's just the entire backline gone. So, honestly, TT, they probably should have considered just going for a steal in that situation. After they've already wasted so many valuable abilities, they didn't go for the rush onto the Drake either. I felt like they just should have backed off and just said, hey, you know what? Even though this Mountain Soul is super important, we're probably just going to have to play for a steal.
Yeah. Well, I have one thing to say is that, Clement, I want to thank you for putting me on IGRNG coming up on the weekend with Lyric. This is, this is definitely like I have to go through the bad to get to the good. It feels like we got to trudge through the mud before we can.
There's no bad in the LPL.
Oh, yes.
This is exactly how it's meant to be played.
Let us be blind casters who say every game is good and everyone can come back. This is quality League of Legends, of course.
Hey, after watching Game 1, I do believe anyone can come back.
Yeah, that's actually true. You're right. That's a genuine point. Even with the Baron buff, even with the gold lead swirling here, you did mention that TT, 35 minutes plus in the game, their scaling is quite incredible and how they can play these front-to-backs. So with the easier executed team composition, let's have a look and see if eStar can close this one out. At the very least, holding really good aggressive vision here and going for the turret in the bottom lane. TT is still mid, while the Udi is there, while Twyla's just pushing top.
Yeah, this is an interesting trade from Twyla. He's probably thinking he can't defend this anyway, but it's so weird because I feel like eStars could actually just all in mid here.
Yeah, if you get an inhibitor, that's decent. They're backing away. If you trade a full inhibitor, that feels great. You've still opened up the map, and let's be honest, TT getting some form of trade is great. You've lost the inhibitor in the bottom lane, and that's free gold if you can defend it. So maybe that's their trying to fill it.
Yeah, with 8,000 gold lead, though, I definitely just all in you mid. I feel like if I have a minion wave there, it probably had to... No, they had a cannon minion wave as well. Huh. Interesting.
Okay. All right. Well, Clement?
I definitely would all in. You have 8,000 gold, one member advantage. You definitely all in that situation.
True. So eStar still played a defensive maneuver when realistically they shouldn't, and now they're going to back away, and we're going to wait for the Baron to time out, the Elder to come up. Remember, they have the Mountain Soul, so feeling pretty confident here, but still taking each step at a time. And now with an open inhibitor on the top side, you can see Twyla's actually just either farming up or waiting for the wave to push and hit the top wave.
It's not a necessary play, but I think I would have preferred that play going into mid. You could win on the spot, but in this situation, eStars, they still are in a very, very good, advantageous position. So I just think, you know what, we can take this slow. We're not going to go for it.
This will be Nash's, though. I just want to point out, every item spike for Twyla, he's backing, waiting. Either just trying to farm up, because he's got his 3 items coming shortly. 3 items for Sam D shortly as well after he picks up one of the waves. There's the Nash's on your screen just picked up. Bottom wave, I mentioned, bit of gold to channel in, but again, it's how eStars uses pressure. And Clement, I'm not going to make you repeat the same points. Let's just wait until 2 minutes until we see eStar either try and force something in the top side or get one of these objectives.
Oh, I really like this coming out from Hacker and Xiaoxi. He's actually using the Attract Repel onto the Udyr at some point. So very strong catch combination. We also see a lot of times that the Udyr is going to be carrying the Shockwave into the enemy team composition. He has a lot of maneuverability, and at this point, I don't think he's going to be the main point of focus from the enemy team. Really, TT, if they want to win any of these team fights, they need to be killing Rat first. He's already 8 kills up. He's almost at full build. And with that Mercurial Scimitar, he's actually going to be very hard to take out, but they need to try and do it.
That's right. You know, you've got the summon to deal with. You've got the item. ZS is called out here. He is a Gnar. Tanky enough here with the 2.5 items. As eStar, meanwhile, are pushing in with the pressure they've gained to get that top lane turret. And you saw Twyla pushing out the bottom side wave. And every time he shows himself on the map, TT are going to lose something in response. So eStar making a better play, and they've gotten themselves to a comfortable position right in front of these timers, actually finding the engage. The Magnet Storm used beautifully again. The Shockwave displaces Chaliza, but he doesn't die. ZS walking in as after a couple of ultimates, and Xiaopeng using the Glacial Prison. eStar don't find the pick they want, but they burn a lot of summoners and a couple of key ultis.
This is pretty awkward because the Elder Dragon comes up in 30 seconds, and you're going to be missing 2 critical ults going into this team fight. I feel like for eStars right now, they actually can't start the Drake. They should try and stall out until they have those cooldowns back up.
True. I mean, I was just thinking about TT's side, but you bring up a really valid point. The Magnet Storm, the Shockwave, about 15 seconds on the Shockwave, a relatively slow, rather low cooldown at this point in the game. As Twyla caught out in rotation, going into Mega Gnar, into the wall. The Emperor's Divide saves him. ZF flashes over the wall. The Shifting Sands, not available, but he's going to stay and fight. That's the wrong move. As ZF finding the pick, could have silenced this game. Xiaopeng running for his life, and Teen sacrificing his own. Sam D has the Feather Storm, finally uses the Blade Caller, does nothing though, and now Xiaopeng's going to die too. That's it. Take us to a game 3, because TT couldn't handle the fire.
Really good finish coming out by eStars. I like their idea to turn and go for skirmish rather than going directly for the Elder Dragon. You never really want to give it a 50-50 given everything that's happened this series. So eStars, they take a fairly safe route, but at the end of it, they still go for the aggressive play, which I think is the good call here.
Well,
don't leave anything up to chance.
Let's be honest, bro. Twyla lost them the game in the end. You know, he walked past Vision. Where that's not his jungle. I don't know why he was pathing there instead of taking the long way around, but, you know, Twyla loses the game, and then his